Good morning, Reds. It's Talking Reds. Happy quarter-finals of the Champions League. I am John Gibbons. This is Josh Sexton, and we're going to reflect a little bit on last night and look ahead to what Liverpool have to come in terms of a potential draw. Obviously, we know we're in the hat. We're going to look at the other teams who are already there, who might be there as well, and see who we want. And have a bit of a chat about Mo Salah, because there's been a bit of Mo Salah discourse overnight as well. But first of all, Josh, we're through. That's the main thing. It was a bit of a nervy night in the end, a bit more nervy than what we would have liked, but we're in the Champions League quarter-finals, and that's not bad.
Yeah, I feel like Inter almost lured us into like a false sense of security with that first leg, didn't they? Because they looked like an attacking team who could be got out, and then suddenly last night they sort of, I don't know, Liverpool still managed to create chances, but it didn't feel like Inter could be got out quite as easily. They were getting stuck into challenges much more than they were in the first leg. They were sort of playing on the madness of the referee and whatever that was in terms of his performance last night. Obviously a few chances fall to Mo Salah, as we're going to probably come on to talk about, where he hits the post and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was nervy in the end. But the main thing is you get the win, and it's dead funny because I was sat behind Neil Dockin at the game, and he said during the game, and he tweeted after as well, that, you know, under Rafa Benitez and Gerard Houllier, they were sort of like staple performances in Europe, where you take losing by 1 goal to make sure you go through an aggregate and that kind of thing, and you sit on those kind of leads. And Liverpool last night, you know, we were almost disappointed with that. We were disappointed with the idea of losing at home. Liverpool, the players looked like they were disappointed with the idea of that, and were like, you know, ploughing forward and spraying 60-yard balls at full speed. So it shows how far we've come, that we're in the Champions League quarterfinals, and some of us have come in with a bit of a face on us this morning. Me.
No, I mean, I haven't got a face on. I'm going to try and cheer Josh up. I mean, I have to do that most days, to be honest with you. But this is sort of where we are. But as you said, and as Neil Docking of this parish quite right points out, you know, it is about getting through. And, you know, like in any cup competitions, really, I was a bit like that after the Norwich FA Cup game, thinking, you know, it's very rare, you know, when the teams get to the final and then the graphic shows up how route to got there. It's very rarely sort of, you know, all 3-0, 3 and 4-0s, is it? There's always, you know, tight games. There's always one where you have to sort of battle through it. And that just felt like ours to me a little bit. Inter Milan was always one of the toughest draws. I thought, you know, they looked a good team in the first leg, but we all just sort of forget because we won 2-0 until you remember the scoreline, and that's what goes in the history books at the end of the day. But last night's a reminder of why they are Italian champions as well, and just the experience they had in the team as well. I thought really showed. You know, they knew when to try and manage that slightly mad ref, although Sanchez obviously didn't manage it sort of too well. They knew how to sort of ride the emotions, really, and they knew how to hang in a football game, and I think that's what they did. Absolutely,
yeah, and we're just not used to losing at home anymore, I don't think. Like you mentioned, when you look at cup runs, you only have to look as far as the last time we won the Champions League to see that, you know, we lost all the away group games in that season. We lost to Barca away, obviously, before we get the massive comeback at Anfield and that kind of thing. It's just that we're so not used to losing these home games, so not used to, you know, 50,000 of us being in the ground and shouting at them and you know, and seeing us lose that. We obviously lost a few last season behind closed doors, but as we've all established at this stage, they don't count.
No,
so
don't count. Sorry, Everton. It doesn't
sorry, count. Everton. It does not count. So it is just because we're a bit spoiled, I think. And as you say, Inter Milan, you know, they were one of the tougher draws we could have possibly got. You know, when the original draw happened, as in the one where they did the fuck up. We got Salzburg, didn't we? And you saw what happened to Salzburg last night. I know they got a commendable result in the first leg against Bayern, but they get torn apart last night. There's every chance that over 2 legs they get completely torn apart by Liverpool as well. And Inter Milan was one of the tougher draws we could have possibly got, because as you say, they're going to go on to be Italian champions. They've got some great experience in that side, but some great young players as well. That Bastoni, number 95 for them, I thought was unbelievable last night in particular. Just everywhere, popping up at left back and right back, and obviously sort of playing in the centre of midfield as well. I thought they were great. I was dead impressed with them, and thought they were good value for their win, which is a strange thing to sort of come away from Anfield and say, but you can come away from Anfield and say it because we're Champions League quarter-finalists, and ultimately that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. They made a good fist of it. They did the best that they could, but in the end, they weren't quite good enough to overturn the Reds.
Who is, John?
Who is, indeed. Text in if you know. Let us know.
Get them wolves from Mars down there.
Just a couple of comments. One from Chris Black. Hi, Chris. He says, no one likes to lose, but in the context of this month, last night's game was probably the only game we could afford a draw or a loss. We have beaten Italian champions in second gear. I'm not quite sure second gear, but I do sort of take your point. The fact that we're able to go through against such a good team without showing our best is a real positive thing. And then the Wolfman, long-time commentator, says it could turn out to be a good game to lose if it refocuses them. And that's an interesting one, because both Mo Salah and Jurgen Klopp talked a little bit about that after the game, about the idea of maybe using this as an example why you can't drop your level a little bit. And if it does that, you know, to them, I don't think they're necessarily the type of team who need that. I think it was just a bit of a strange game to know to approach. But if it can have a, you know, an impact in terms of, you know, reminding us in each game, you know, especially in the Champions League, just how tough it always has been, just at the level you need to hit, then maybe as the Wolfman and Mo Salah, what a combination, say, maybe it could be a good thing.
Yeah, there's an extent to which Liverpool get to sort of have their cake and eat it too last night, don't they? Like they get to, you know, progress through to the quarterfinals, but they get to sort of, you know, get that reminder of the level, as you say, and you know, we sort of assume the players don't think like that, but Jurgen Klopp's actually directly referenced that in the past, is that when Liverpool have gone on big winning runs, that's what I meant to say, not running wins, a bit of complacency does start to creep in, because they're still human beings at the end of the day, and it's not, you know, it's not unprofessional of a bit of complacency to creep in. It's just that reminder that, you know, here's the level you need to be at, here's the sort of what you need to be striving for week in, week out. And I think you will see that last night. You know, Mo Salah in his post-match interview sort of talks about, you know, going away and looking at the video, and that's one of the things that, you know, we don't think about, is how much, you know, analysis goes into it when they go to Kirby. We just think of them, you know, playing five-a-side on the footy pitches out there, but they are, you know, they'll go and sit in sort of rooms within there and assess it all, and they'll look back on last night and think of ways in which they can improve on that performance. I didn't actually think, you know, sort of individually there was anyone who particularly disappointed for Liverpool too much last night. I thought it was just, you know, the collective wasn't quite having it clicking, and there was a few chances where maybe we could have done better. But that's the sort of thing where I should say they'll go away and learn from that, and you know, they get to have the cake and eat it too, because they lose a game at home, they get to know what that feels like in front of a crowd, but then also they're Champions League quarter-finalists, and I'll keep just saying that throughout this video, to be honest.
You mentioned the chances there, the best chances, certainly the best chances in open play for Mo Salah. The first one, I think he should do better. I think he scuffs it. I've not seen any replays, I'll be honest. This is just based on what I saw sort of live in the ground, but I didn't feel like he was necessarily trying to do what he ended up doing and hits the post. The second one, I think he's really unlucky. It's a really clean strike of a great ball from Sadio, and it just sort of bounced off the post. But he does miss the best two chances. I've seen a little bit of conversation here, there and everywhere sort of online about where his form's at the moment, that maybe he's not come back from AFCON in the best sort of place, in the best form. What have you made of Mo, and what have you made of the conversations around his performances, in particular reference to last night?
I think his performances are always judged on goals ultimately, and that's you know, a bar that he's set for himself, and he just happens to have set it ridiculously high, which is you know, a problem for him really, because I think there are a few good performances that I can think of in recent times where, you know, he's not necessarily got a goal. I can think of the Norwich League game where he absolutely terrorised Brandon Williams for that whole game at their left back, and he constantly looks like he can make things happen. I think we struggle to judge Mo Salah on that anymore because of the goal scoring standards that he's set, and I think there's a bit of that last night. I think the thing that he's come back from AFCON with, and I think you saw it manifest the most last night, is just overthinking things a little bit. Like a few times last night where he'd usually just take a touch to bring it out the sky, let it bounce a few times, and I wonder whether that's, you know, I was speaking to my brother after the game, there's a weird thing that's happened, I think, where it used to be that European refs never let you get away with anything, and Premier League refs let you get away with everything, and it seems to have completely flipped on its head now. Like particularly that ref last night just seemed to be letting into players get away with basically manhandling Mo Salah, and that's the thing we're used to now, because we're used to seeing, you know, WWE moves performed on Mo Salah, and I just wonder whether that crept into his thinking a bit. I wonder whether there's a few times last night where he thought, you know, I could take a touch, but Vidal's going to come flying through the back of me, and I don't want to sort of risk that injury or risk losing the ball and you know, maybe not get a foul for it. But there's a few times he lets it bounce and then loses the ball. A few times he doesn't quite act on instinct, and that's something that he can easily tidy up. It's something that, you know, a goal will bring a lot of that confidence flowing back, I think. And Mo Salah's one of those players where, like, this discourse seems to happen at some point every season, probably a couple of times a season as well. And he's a player that I'm never worried about, because I do believe that, you know, once he gets that goal back, he just reminds himself, like, right, I'm Mo Salah now, I'm the best player in the world, and this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that, Josh. And one thing I'd also add is that at the moment, it feels like he's particularly getting a lot of attention in terms of numbers. Like, very rarely teams leave Mo Salah one-on-one around the area, because you know what's going to happen. But it seems like he's been more and more like triple teamed all the time recently. And I'm looking at it thinking there must be space somewhere else here, but we're never sort of quite able to work it. But maybe that's why Sadio Mane's got some. But one of the reasons, Sadio Mane being boss is another one, obviously. But one of the reasons why like Salah's got so many goals from open play recently as well, that, you know, you're just sort of thinking the more and more they focus on Mo, you know, if I'm the other forwards, I'm thinking there's opportunities here for me.
Absolutely, and one of the things I think Inter did like particularly well last night was pressing numbers. Like they were really pressing in packs, and I think Mo Salah was someone who was, you know, a victim of that in particular, because he likes to sort of get that ball down on the right hand side and cut in and look for his options, and usually, you know, an option is a sight at goal. But I feel like every time he got the ball last night, there was one incident in particular where he brings the ball down on the right hand side, and there's honestly about 5 Inter players around him. There's their left wing back, there's the left sided centre back, and then all 3 midfielders sort of make this like, I don't know, this like crescent around him, which allows him to like not be able to pass the ball anywhere else. And I think he ends up just trying to like go through too many of them, which I thought he did a fair bit of last night. And I think, as I said before, that's him just sort of overthinking it a little bit. It's him, you know, getting past the first man and going, oh well, like I don't know what to do here, so let me just try and get past the second man and then assess my options later. And I think, as I say, I think once he gets a goal again, a lot of that confidence will come flowing back, and we'll all be forgetting about, you know, whether he wasn't scoring or not, because he'll just start banging him in again.
I think so. Listen, we always need something to moan about or something to worry about, should I say. We need something to worry about, and it seems to be Mo Salah at the moment, but Mo Salah is the least of your worries, I promise you. So we go into the next round. Inter were good, but they're out. Forget about them. They're gone. Bayern Munich.
Get out!
Yeah, go! Bayern Munich are through. We know that as well. I didn't see the game last night, obviously, because we were watching our boys, but I mean, the scoreline's impressive. They'll take some beating. Someone here, Barry Lyons, says he wants them in the next round. Barry Lyons sounds like an Irish tea supergroup, by the way. So fair play on that. But yeah, he's straight in. Oh no, so it's Nicholas who wanted Bayern. Sorry. I feel like I've just got that wrong deliberately for a joke there.
I think you should have just left it, to be honest. We were all happy with it the way it was.
It was jumping sort of between the two. Have you got preference of who you'd like sort of next round? I mean, obviously the ties are still going. We won't. It's a week Friday. We'll be doing a Talking Reds live straight after, by the way. A week Friday, 11 o'clock is the draw. So we'll be doing a Talking Reds immediate reaction about 7 p.m. But that's a joke as well. It's a length of you wait for fucking about joke.
It was a good one, that. That was from Nicholas Lyons, was it?
From PG Tips.
PG Tetley.
I forgot. Who do you want?
You don't want in the draw. I think like all of them come with interesting narratives, don't they? Like our own Harriet Pryor was on Sky Sports this morning, and she was sort of saying about the. Would he not? No. It's heavy on Harriet, that, isn't it? Have a word with Ted. She was saying about the idea of, you know, there being a bit of a narrative around drawing Real Madrid maybe, and I'm sort of into that as like a revenge thing. You know, Real Madrid beat us in the Champions League last season when it's all behind closed doors, and obviously doesn't count. They beat us in the final in Kiev as well, and one kiss, obviously making a bit of a comeback for Liverpool fans this season after the League Cup final. But there's a couple of ones in there. There's, you know, Ajax, who we draw last season and can't go to. We can't get that sort of, you know, big scouts trip to Amsterdam, which we all want. So there's the idea of getting that again. There's the idea of a few teams there who we think could probably be like beatable for Liverpool, to be honest. But I would say that all teams fall under that category. There's also a Manchester City sort of diddle as well, where, you know, we could look and say we don't want to draw Man City and hope that somebody else knock them out. But sometimes if you want a job doing, you have to do it yourself, John, don't you? So I think there's an argument to you know, sort of seeing a bit of a series between Liverpool and Man City where we might draw them in the FA Cup. We've also got them coming up in the league as well. I think the one I would want of all of them is the Ajax one, because I really want that trip to Amsterdam, and I think that they will be beatable for Liverpool, and it'll be 2 really good games as well. So I think that would be the one that I would sort of plump for. But I can make a case for any of them, to be honest, and they're all only half a footy team compared to the boys in red, aren't they?
I mean, that is true. It's an interesting point there on City. Do let us know in the comments whether you'd rather play City over 2 legs or in the final, because I think, you know, chances are they will get to a final because they're really, really good. Unless, as Josh says, we can beat them first. So let us know if you'd rather play City home and away, and obviously have to tie at Anfield, or order one off in Paris.
Ignore me, John. I'm just doing admin.
No, it's all right. In late May. So yeah, it's an interesting one. In terms of preference, I don't really want an English team, to be honest with you. Ajax, I think, will be fantastic if they can get through. I mean, you and indeed Harriet mentioned Real Madrid there, but they've got a tough game tonight, which I'm going to watch against PSG. They're 1-0 down, so it's not necessarily, they're even sort of getting through at all. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one, that tonight. Yeah,
I think it will be. I think PSG are probably the one team that I can't sort of build the idea of a narrative around. I think they're a beatable team for Liverpool, I would say, but they'd be a really tough game over 2 legs as well. I think they've just got so much star quality, don't they? I think you saw that when we played them in the Champions League a few seasons ago. I think we obviously win the home game where Firmino scores with one eye, and then we lose in the away game, and it's a dead tough game going to their place. And we're obviously going to Paris already in May, so we don't need to be going to Paris twice, I think. So they'd be the ones I'd want to avoid. So, hopefully Real Madrid can do us a little favour, get their revenge tie with us, knock PSG out tonight, and then absolutely up the Reds.
Yeah, absolutely up the Reds indeed. We shall see. Liam Faston says here, City over 2 legs, not Chelsea though. Absolutely.
That's our Liam, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely can't be bothered with Chelsea. I'm just convinced we're playing them in the FA Cup as well at Wembley at some point. So the idea of playing them in Champions League as well 6 times in a season is far too much. And we'll just find another way. We'll probably have to play them in Charity Shield as well or something.
Agreed. It's like back to Rafa Mourinho days, and
just can't be
done
bothered.
with them.
Can't be
Live
bothered.
through them.
Yeah. Shut up, you boring bitch.
Good Johnson's still nearly going to score that goal.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. Plenty of really good stuff out at the Anfield Wrap over the next few days. Obviously, loads of reaction to last night, to the Inter Milan games. We've got a review being recorded this morning. There's a tour live at 12 o'clock if you fancy joining us from that. It's streamed across all our platforms. It goes out as a podcast a little bit later with a couple of little inserts in there as well. But there's a tour live at 12 o'clock, which I'm hosting. If you fancy that, it should be really good fun. Got a really good panel for that. And then over the next few days, as we start to build up to a massive game, they're all massive games in the Premier League now at Brighton on Saturday. If you're around in Brighton, don't forget we've got a live show with the Brighton Supporters Club on Friday night. There's still a few tickets for that. I'm told there is only a handful, so get in quickly if you do want to come to that, our live show on Friday night. Also, if you're just there for the day, they're doing an event with the Boss Lads on Saturday morning as well, so look out for that as well. So they always throw a big party when Liverpool are in town. The Brighton Supporters Club do a really good job, so do try to support their events. I say Friday night with us, or if you can't make that, you're just there sort of for the day, get down early on the Saturday and enjoy what they're doing with Boss. They've got Kieran Mowney playing, Boss Bank playlist and all that, and it should be a good fun. They'll do their best to get the party going before a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. So loads to look forward to. We've got our live shows in Ireland as well, so if you're over in Ireland, do check those out, and hopefully you can come and see us at the end of the March. And some lovely t-shirts as well available on our shop. So if you're like the Heaton family banging to goalkeepers, you've got an Alisson shirt over there. Or if like anyone else you bang into Egyptian strikers, you've got a Mo Salah top here as well. So yeah, get to theanfieldwrap.com/shop if you want to check that out. Hopefully come and see us in one of the live shows, but definitely do come to Tour Live at 12 o'clock. That's dead soon. Really easy. Action points.
Agreed.
Up the Reds.